In this video, I'm going to show you the content library and some things that you can do here in this space. The content library is basically kind of like your filing cabinet. This is a place where you can store materials, handouts, notes that you would want your students to have access to. They do not have edit rights in this section. They can only view and copy from here. You can also distribute from the content library. So if there's anything that you create in the content library that you want them to have, you can send it out to their individual notebooks as well. We also use the content library in our staff notebooks for documents and handouts that teachers would need. For instance, safety procedures, just anything related to the campus, discipline, health things, dealing with like the nurse or different departments and organizations on the campus. So these would be things here in the content library, things that you would send in an email or make a copy of to give to teachers at the beginning of school. All of that information would be here in the content library. So I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do here, mostly by organizing your content library. I am in the Windows 10 app. So the first thing I want to do is I want to think about my content library as a place where I'm going to store important information for my students. Think very large here, like how large do you want to go, and then narrow it down. So I'm going to create 6 weeks sections. Now if this was a campus notebook, you might want to have a safety tab, a discipline tab, a PTA tab, or just different things, or a math tab, or an ELA tab, or something where you're going to put information that the teachers would need to get there. So to make section groups, a section group is kind of like a mini notebook within the notebook, which allows you to make more sections and more pages. So for this case, being in a class notebook, this would be important because I'm going to organize my content by 6 weeks. So I come down, I'm clicked on Content Library, and then I'm going to come down to the bottom and right click where it says Section and do new Section Group. So what that does is it adds a new section group. So I'm going to come back up and click on the section right before that so that the next section group will populate below this one. So I'm going to right click, New Section Group. I have Group 2. Come back up, right click, New Section Group 3. Do that again, right click, New Section Group, and now I have 4. Now I'm going to go ahead and rename them. So I can right click and rename. So I'm going to call this one First 6 Weeks. Okay, now that I have all of my section groups named, I can start organizing within the section groups. So think about first 6 weeks. What all do you want to have, what are you teaching in the first 6 weeks? What do you want your staff to know? Here, if this was a staff notebook, obviously we would have the tabs be different. But for a staff notebook, you could even have a section group of PLCs, or you could have a section group that's your RTI information. Whatever it is that you would have multiple tabs of, you can do a section group for. So I'm going to open this up. You can see there's nothing here. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and make a new section. So now I have another section below my first 6 weeks. So if in the first 6 weeks I'm going to call this daily notes. Okay, I'm going to make another section, right click, new section, and this one I'm going to call study guides. So whatever you want this to consist of, you can easily do that. You can also, if you know that these are going to be the same sections for second 6 weeks, third and fourth, I can right click, I can move or copy, and I can also put it in the second, and I can copy it. If I know I need it for the third as well, I can copy it there. So now you can see I have daily notes in each of my 6 weeks. So it's very easy to copy sections over. Now ideally I would want to have my tab completely filled out if it was something that I'm sending over to the other 6 weeks. But you can also use the teacher only section for that, where you put your master things in the teacher only, and then you can send those out. You can also distribute. So there's multiple ways to send or copy things to other sections. So you can also create another section group within this. So let's say in the first 6 weeks, I want to make a new section group within first 6 weeks, and let's say this is a novel study. So I could make this, let's see, rename it. I'm going to call this novels. So within novels, I'm going to right click and I'm going to make a new section. So you can see the hierarchy here of how this is structured. In novels, this might be the giver. So whatever novels I'm going to read, I could have a section for each novel, and then I could add pages over here that would have content related to the giver. I can also color code. So if I wanted to change the color here, I can make this multiple colors. I can change it up so that they're not, or I could color code them and make them the same. So you also have different color options as well. So adding section groups and sections is very easy. This is in the Windows 10 app. Let me open the desktop version so I can show you what that looks like. So I am in the staff notebook. Now if I click on Content Library, you can see that those sections are not here. So I'm going to right click on the name of staff notebook and I'm going to click sync this notebook now. So syncing does take a little bit of time between notebooks and from online down to the application as well. And there they are. So I've got first 6 weeks, and you can see the things that we put in there. There's the daily notes, study guides, and then there's my novels. And then that was starting the giver. So you can see that they appear here in the desktop version as well. It's just kind of whichever you prefer. You can add your tabs here. You can also right click and make new sections and new section groups from this menu also. So adding sections and section groups is very easy. Moving them around is very easy. Again, if I was in the first 6 weeks and I wanted to take this tab and move it or copy it over, I can do that fairly easy. Again, it opens up all of my notebooks just like you saw in the Windows 10 app, but it does look a little bit different. So I have the option to move or copy.